Shalom. Welcome to another episode of Claim Your Inheritance. I'm your host, Nazir Davah Lord Yasharal. I'm the Crown Prince of Israel, keyboard warrior. I'm the President Pro Tem of New Jerusalem until the real president stands up in elections. My co-host, Amaziah Howard, is making money right now, which is just as important as explaining and promoting the necessity for elections. So he's busy. He will not be attending tonight. But as long as we have you here, we're fine. Okay. So now I want to start off by giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, the wonderful Son, and the Holy Spirit. Their names are Haya, Asher, Haya, Emmanuel, Amashiach, and Nazareth, and Menachem. Now, I want to start off by reminding you that the only messianic ID card available to Israelites is here. I provide it for you. I was persuaded to do this by the Holy Spirit, and you all should have it. Tonight is going to be a phenomenal show. I'm not going to be talking much at all. I'm going to allow you to hear the last archived conference call of a man by the name of Henderson. This man is the ad hoc world court judge. Okay? So the world court is basically defunct in their default on providing for humanity. Okay? So they allowed the greed of Esau that influences all nations, and all nations are drunk upon the wine of Esau. They have allowed this corruption and oppression to seep into every nook and cranny of the earth. And the people of the earth are mourning. Okay, now, so this tells you that the resources of the earth are a necessity. Water, mostly. Food, which grows from the ground and is grown in farms. All food is grown from animals and plants. So their greed has hijacked these resources. Okay, so these resources are farmed and grown for the trade of precious metals and precious gems and things of that nature. Okay, so, they keep what they can and for themselves, and distribute the rest. And the labor to farm this food and water must be compensated by precious metals and precious jewels. So these precious metals and precious jewels have to be mined. The labor for that must be compensated with food, precious metals, precious jewels, and paper money, which is not backed by anything. Okay, so but it is backed by the intrinsic trust of the people that it is worth the face value. Okay, so now it is very important that you realize that the greed is the problem when it comes to these resources. Resources in themselves is not evil. So you needing resources and wanting resources, which is two different scenarios, is not evil. Greed is beyond that. It's past needing and wanting resources. It is hoarding resources and purposely keeping them away from people that you do not want to have them. Okay, so this is what oppressors do. They hoard resources and purposely keep them out of the hands of people that they deem should not have those resources: food, water, and clothing. Okay. So I'm going to be allowing you to listen in to this ad hoc judge of the world court so that you can hear prophecy unfolding before your eyes, because pretty soon here, after Obama is assassinated by the world powers, the unconscious community is going to influence the rest of the sleep zombie masses to have a civil war. Okay, this civil war is going to be oppositioned by racist white people. So the racist white people are going to be slaughtering the unconscious community and the zombies that listen to the unconscious community and don't have a clue about anything. Okay, so while this is taking place, the conscious community, which is only the Israelites, including other peaceful people, but it's going to be only other peaceful black people. They're going to be rounded up and placed in FEMA camps all over the country. FEMA camps must be filled up as ordained by the Heavenly Father, which the unconscious community does not understand nor accept. When they are filled up, people are still going to be, there's still going to be plenty of unconscious people rounded up in these FEMA camps, and they're going to be resisting the transition that is taking place. The fruition, the fruit of this transition that's going to take place is that the Israelites are going to be taken to their homeland and placed in their own land. And we're going to possess the uh, captives who once possessed us. Okay? So the unconscious people are going to be getting slaughtered in droves, while the conscious community, the Israelites, are going to be surviving this transition. Okay? So let me share my screen here and show you some things that you may that you know may want to consider. This site is called the Sovereign Civil People's Rights Trust. Okay, and in the middle of the page, well, as you go down a little bit, you see the Bathsheba and Esther Trust. Your best bet is to click on that. This is what you must do to ensure your future and the future of your children. But those who reject knowledge the Heavenly Father will reject your children. Now, this is the redemption, protection, and restoration that is occurring now on earth as we speak. All the wars, all the wars that are going on is over the inheritance of the Israelites. So you need to go on here, click this, Bathsheba and Esther Trust, download it, fill it out, and email it to shelleybowling@gmail.com. You must do this in order to protect your future. Okay, I appreciate you comprehending that and doing that. Now, I'm going to allow you to listen. Oh, I want to announce something before we go into listening to the last call. There are years of calls, weekly calls that they do, but I'm going to allow you to hear this. Okay, but before that, I want to explain to you something. Okay, the military that you must sign up for in order to protect your interests, to protect yourself and protect your children. The military is paid. We pay our military personnel just like any other country. Okay, so as you're listening to this, I may be interjecting to clarify a few things because this prophet here, the ad hoc judge of the world court, um, did not mention Israel. Okay, so although he is way ahead of us in schedule, he's been doing these workshops for 25 years and claims to have exhibits and exhibits, rooms and rooms of documentation that proves he is the owner or the trustee of the treasure that Israel mined, that Abraham passed down to Isaac and passed down to Jacob and passed down to his 12 sons and then passed down to David and passed down to Solomon and Nathan and then passed down on down the line. So he claims that he has the documentation. The chain of custody is what this is called, and a chain of custody goes through strict vetting, strict oversight. You got to look at it very carefully and be very critical about a chain of custody. And his chain of custody satisfied the current world court to allow them to step down as the world court and name him as the ad hoc world court judge, which means that he is the world court judge of the transition from the 501c3 to the 501c4. Okay, so if that's their first time hearing about this, it's because the 501c4 is what is going to take place after our imprisonment in the FEMA camps. Okay, so there you go. I'll go ahead and start this. You just click on here, you go here. Okay, you go here to what I just showed you, and then you click on the archives of calls. Once you click on the archives of calls, you go to the bottom and click the 2016 archive. Once you click 2016, you go to the bottom again and you get to the very last call that they had. Click on that, and you end up in here. I'm going to play this in just a second, but I want to show you what I'm talking about here. Okay, Bathsheba. Control F. Bathsheba, right here. Okay, so back in the 1200s. Okay, no, back in 965, from 965 to circa 1000, the Bathsheba of the spiritual Bathsheba of Israel was Lynn Grace H. Medina. Okay, so this passed down over time to modern day, and then now the modern day trustee of the Bathsheba and Esther Trust is who I just showed you. You go here. Yep. Okay. Shelley Bowling. Shelley Bowling. She is the modern day trustee for the Bathsheba and Esther Trust. So you need to go on here, click Bathsheba and Esther Trust, download it, fill it out, and send it to her email. Okay, so they're going to index you as a joint heir with Hamashiach and a joint inheritance. You're going to receive a joint inheritance of the inheritance of the family of Israel, of which they collected over, the thousands of years that they have been rightfully and righteously and justly collecting their inheritance. Okay, so now, without further ado, I'm just going to allow this to run all the way through. I may interrupt from time to time, but I may not. It just depends on it. The Spirit tells me to interrupt.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the World Global Network United Nations conference call. Today is Wednesday, April the 20th, 2016. I'm your host, Shelley Bowling, trustee of the Bathsheba and Esther Trust, and our speaker today will be Dr. Hindu I.L. Henderson, the ad hoc judge.
Okay, you heard that. The speaker today will be Hindu L. Henderson, the ad hoc judge for the World Court. But I want to interject here because I failed to mention something here that is going to happen. Okay, Isaiah 45:3, and I will give thee the treasures of darkness and hidden riches of secret places, that thou mayest know that I, the Lord, which calls thee by your name, that's Israel, am the God of Israel. So that's what's going to happen. We're going to receive this incredible treasure that just dwarfs every wealth of nations on earth today that I went over the other day as far as the top 10 nations, top 10 richest nations. The treasure of Israel is so far beyond that it makes the other nations look like a drop of a bucket and nothing and less than nothing, because the resources of this world motivates people to work, and humans and workforce creates food and clothing, okay, and siphons water in order for us to drink, and build cities and all these things. So that labor that everyone has the potential of doing is compensated by treasures. Okay, so we're going to be in control of this treasure by our effort, by our own effort, by a collective effort. We have to gather together and all have to work on this at the same time. That's the only way the prophecy happens, and it will happen. It doesn't matter how many years it takes, because it's not based on time. It's based on our effort and the events the events of the prophecies that are satisfied, and then move on to the next prophecy and move on to the next prophecy until all prophecies are fulfilled. Okay, so I'm telling you that's what's going on, and I mean you don't have a choice. You're an Israelite, so you must do these things. Okay, so I'm explaining to you that uh, the realization that resources must run a country, and this country is going to be powerful enough to run the entire earth. This is only going to happen by resources, and our family has collected enough resources to do this. All you have to do is Google Mansa Musa. He was uh, considered the richest man of all time, and that is because our fortune flowed through his kingdom, and he was in control of it at one time. Okay, so then a man named Jose Rizal was in control of it at one time, and then it was hijacked by the Mongols and some other people. Okay, and Chinese and all kinds of other people. So they split it up, and then over time, this uh, that treasure was recollected by someone, Ferdinand E. Marcos, back in the 1900s. It was recollected. Okay, and then it was fought over by the Pope and China again, and Pope won it through their wars and stuff. So now this treasure is going to come back into the hands of Israelites. Okay, anybody thinking that they're not Israelites, you might as well go ahead and kill yourself now. Go find whatever weapon you need to kill yourself, and do it now before I finish this sentence. Okay, you haven't killed yourself yet? Go do it now. Hurry up. Okay, now that they're dead, the Israelites are the only people who are going to be in control of this fortune in the future. Why? Because you are going to gather together. You are going to appoint yourself one head. That one head is going to formally accuse the nations of their wrongdoings, and then they're going to be convicted of their wrongdoings. Okay? Of course, they're going to resist. This is going to cause the final war, of which after that war, everyone is going to beat their weapons into plowshares, because there will be no need for war anymore, because they're all the psycho people are dead. Okay? Now, in this process, you die as well. So you need to fear God and be faithful unto death. So don't fear Satan. What's going to happen is you're going to do this process. You're going to be requesting your family's treasure as a collective, because you're going to have a leader who's going to be telling these people that. So the world is going to ban against you. They're going to be confederate against you, as they have been all these thousands of years. And they're going to kill every last one of you. If you're afraid of that, you're in the wrong business. You should not be an Israelite. And in fact, you are not an Israelite. So once you die, you're going to be resurrected. There are people recorded in the Bible, including Hamashiach, who lived past normal human uh, uh, paradigm of how long we should live. 120 years, 100 years, 90 years, 75 years, or whatever. Melchizedek is one. Hamashiach is another. Hamashiach told certain apostles that they will stay alive until he returns back to earth. There was a man who asked the Heavenly Father to allow him to stay alive until he sees the birth of Hamashiach, which he saw the birth of Hamashiach and then promptly died. Okay, so you only get what you ask for. So before the flood, people lived 900 years. During the return of New Jerusalem, that is the ages that we're going to be living. Okay, now a lot of people are going to be immortals though, as well. But normal people on earth are going to be living, 900 years, because they say that 100 years old is going to be called a young man. I'm just letting you know these things for education purposes. But this archive of this conference call is 1 hour long. We're going to go a little past the time that I normally do, which is 9:30. So we're going to be going to about 10:05 or something like that. Or maybe 10:30. But this is a must that you must perform this. Fill this out and send it to shelleybowling@gmail.com. So I want to give you the information on this so that you can understand why I'm telling you to fill that out. It's not exciting, but nation building is boring. All real work is boring. So you just need to do it, man. I mean, it's nothing more than I can say about that. Now, I will be posting the link to this show. You see me about to post this link to this show on the YouTube. And if you have any respectful questions, it doesn't matter. I don't care if you cuss me out. I don't care if you call me a cocksucking, cum drizzling whore. I just want you. What I want you to do is get on here and tell me what you think. I don't care, how you, deal with it. But I'm telling you, this is very important. So I put it in the chat. I put the Google Hangout in the chat. So if you want to get on here, it's right there in the chat. All right, you're about to claim your inheritance. I'm about to start the call.
Judge of the Universal World Court. To all of our global family, it's always great to be with you on these Wednesday and Friday mornings. And to our regular callers, it's always great to be with you. Our new callers, we would like to invite you to become a guest, a GUESS, not a GUEST, and that we hope that you will keep us guessing if you will ever leave. It is Dr. Henderson's and my desire that you come back on a regular basis and remain with us, because the information that you get from these calls will be critical for your life going forward. Also, for those of you that are new to the conference call, we would like to invite you to our website, which is sovcpr.com. Again, that's S as in Sam, O, V as in Victor, CPR, like cardiopulmonary resuscitation. As Dr. Henderson likes to say, breathing life back into a dying world. We hope that you will take the time to familiarize yourself with the information on the website. There's historical documents, educational materials, letters from Dr. Henderson, archives of our conference calls, which if you are new to the call, I recommend that you listen to the calls in the archives, starting with the oldest and working your way forward. That way, the information that you gain will build upon itself and you'll get a broader understanding of who the global network is and what has been accomplished to date. Also, there is a common language version of the Bathsheba and Esther Trust so that you will understand the purpose of the trust and how you may participate. There's information regarding indexing. Also, I recommend that you listen to the indexing call so that you may find out how you can come to the Dallas area to participate in the indexing. We will be indexing this weekend and the following weekend of April. Our next indexing period will be in June. So please take the time to familiarize yourself with the information and how you may participate. We have 198 nations working with the global network. The people in these nations are working on projects for their areas, and we have over 5.8 billion people on the planet now working with us in various ways, shapes, and forms for the restoration.
Okay. One thing I will be correcting during this call is that Israel will be the 199th nation, the absolute youngest nation on earth. Okay. So Shelley Bowling, who is speaking now, is claiming 198 nations because there are currently 197 recognized nations on earth. Okay. So the ad hoc judge Hindu Henderson anticipates that the Moors will become a nation before Israel will become a nation. You're going to hear that later. So they would be the 198th nation. So as they're doing their processes, the 198th nation, which is not yet a nation, is going to, he anticipates that they're going to become a mature nation with it fully with elections and all the rest of that entails a nation. So then after that, the 199th nation, which he does not mention, will be New Jerusalem, because we are the youngest and final nation that will rule earth. Okay, so just letting you know that. I may, every time they mention the 198 nations, I may pause it to remind you that it's actually going to be 199 nations, because New Jerusalem is the 199th nation that is going to be ruling the earth. All nations are under us. So Drew Ali, the prophet of the Moors, placed all 197 nations under him, and he alone, Drew Ali alone, is a nation, and he's just one man. So his students have not properly fulfilled his vision to become a nation, because they don't do elections, they don't do normal stuff that you're supposed to do to become a nation. So that's why I'm explaining to you that they're going to beat us to the punch, because they listen much better than repentant Israelites.
Of their areas. We always like to let you know who those nations are. And as Father Yah continues to do, he unites. He is uniting his children on this planet for the restoration under the 5 divine principles of love, peace, truth, freedom, justice. And as the people unite together, they come together in one heart, one mind, and one spirit. So as I read the nations, you will hear them unified, not divided by political divisions such as North or South. We're starting with Afghanistan, Albania, Algeria, Andorra, Angola, Antigua and Barbuda, Argentina, Armenia, Aruba, Australia. Austria, Azerbaijan. Bahamas, Bahrain. Bangladesh, Barbados. Belarus, Belgium. Belize, Benin. Bhutan, Bolivia. Bosnia and Herzegovina. Botswana, Brazil, Brunei. Bulgaria, Burkina Faso. Burma, Burundi. Cambodia, Cameroon, Canada. Cape Verde, Central African Republic. Chad, Chile. China, Colombia, Comoros. Congo, Costa Rica. Cote d'Ivoire, Croatia, Cuba. Curacao, Cyprus, Czech Republic. Denmark, Djibouti. Dominica, Dominican Republic. Ecuador, Egypt. El Salvador. England, Equatorial Guinea. Eritrea, Estonia. Ethiopia. Fiji, Finland. France. Gabon, Gambia. Georgia, Germany. Ghana, Greece. Grenada, Guatemala. Guinea, Guinea-Bissau. Guyana. Haiti, Honduras. Hong Kong, Hungary. Iceland, India. Indonesia. Iran. Iraq. Ireland. Israel, Italy. Jamaica, Japan. Jordan, Kazakhstan. Kenya, Kiribati. Korea, Kosovo. Kuwait, Kyrgyzstan. Laos, Latvia. Lebanon, Lesotho. Liberia, Libya. Liechtenstein. Lithuania, Luxembourg. Macau, Macedonia. Madagascar. Malawi, Malaysia. Maldives, Mali. Malta. Marshall Islands. Mauritania. Mauritius. Mexico. Micronesia. Moldova, Monaco. Mongolia, Montenegro. Morocco, Mozambique. Namibia, Nauru. Nepal, Netherlands, Netherlands Antilles. New Zealand, Nicaragua. Niger, Nigeria. Norway. Oman, Pakistan. Palau, Palestinian territories. Panama, Papua New Guinea. Paraguay, Peru. Philippines. Poland, Portugal. Qatar, Republican Society of the Americas. Romania. Russia. Rwanda. St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Lucia. St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Samoa. San Marino. Sao Tome and Principe. Saudi Arabia. Scotland. Senegal. Serbia. Seychelles. Sierra Leone. Singapore. St. Martin. Slovakia. Slovenia. Solomon Islands. Somalia. South Africa. Spain. Sri Lanka. Sudan. Suriname. Swaziland. Sweden. Switzerland. Syria. Taiwan. Tajikistan. Tanzania. Thailand. Timor-Leste. Togo. Tonga. Trinidad and Tobago. Tunisia. Turkey. Turkmenistan. Tuvalu. Uganda. Ukraine. United Arab Emirates. Uruguay. Uzbekistan. Vanuatu. Venezuela. Vietnam. Wales. Yemen. Zambia. And Zimbabwe. So these are the nations that the Global Network is currently working with. I have some information that I'd like to share with you, some news information coming in. Doctor and I always like to share with you what is going on in the earth changes and how it is affecting us. Last week, on Wednesday, I gave you the 30-day count of earthquakes. It was at 1,356. 1 week later, today, the count is 1,474. That was a 30-day increase of 118 earthquakes. Now, those are anything that's 2.5 magnitude and higher. Last Friday, Japan was said to have had 67 quakes in a 30-day time frame. Today, that count is at 97 quakes within a 30-day time frame. We recently had a 7.8 in the last, 36 hours in Ecuador. Quakes in southern Asia and Europe are increasing along a fault line that runs along India's northern border, down through Pakistan, across southern Iran, up northwest across the Zagros Mountains, across the bottom of southern Turkey, and into the Mediterranean Sea. Keep an eye on this area as well, as the earthquakes are increasing. I did not find any tsunami warnings associated with any of those quakes currently. Recent article came out as of today. Up to 500 people feared dead after a shipwreck in the Mediterranean Sea. This came across the AP. Geneva, the UN Refugee Agency, says up to 500 people are feared dead in a shipwreck in the Mediterranean Sea last week. The UNHCR says the disaster happened in the waters between Italy and Libya, based on accounts from survivors rescued on April the 16th. The 41 survivors were 37 men, 3 women, and a 3-year-old child. They were rescued by a merchant ship and taken to Kalamata and the Peloponnese Peninsula of Greece. Those rescued included 23 Somalis, 11 Ethiopians, 6 Egyptians, and a Sudanese. Also, I have an article from Judge Anna Von Reitz. It's dated April the 17th, and it was entitled What to Expect on April the 19th, 2016. Just going to read you a portion of it. I do recommend that you go back and read the entire article. The Rock. I expect the UN Corp doing business as the IMF, which is merely doing business as the, quote, United States in all capital letters, and as in the, quote, United States Treasury, to try to stick us with all their debts because they are crooks and they naturally don't want to pay their own debts out of their own profits. They're basically trying to stage a repeat of what FDR did back in the 1930s when he got the clueless Americans to assume pay the debts of the, quote, United States of America, Incorporated, end quote. A bankrupt, privately owned and operated governmental services corporation under conditions of constructive fraud and Semitic deceit. Special note about the new republic. You may have heard via Mr. Cottrell that the French government filed the paperwork to set up a new republic for us in filings with The Hague. Now, why would we want or need the French government to do that when we have already done that for ourselves? The IMF and its parent, the UN Corporation, are chartered in France. And it is technically the French government's fault that these corporations have been allowed to terrorize and bilk the entire rest of the world and to defraud the innocent people of the United States under color of law. The French supplied the corporations, and the British supplied the mechanisms to create this debacle. And at the end of the day, the rats who masterminded it all have fled to China. The so-called New Republic is just as fraudulent as the rest of what has gone on before, and it still depends on a system of human enslavement and bonds and IOUs pay for the debts that we don't owe. The Federal Reserve, which is not and never was the American people or any part of our lawful government, owed the Chinese government a huge amount of gold and interest ever since 1928. The Federal Reserve never even bothered to pay the interest they owed, and in 2011, when Neil Keenan sued the rats, they pleaded bankruptcy protection. For a while, it looked like all the Chinese could do was one, go to war, or two, take the loss. But back in 2002, in a relatively minor suit brought before the World Court by Dr. Hindu Henderson and the government of Sudan, the same rats were denied the option of claiming bankruptcy protection. The Chinese found out about that, and the Federal Reserve was finally brought to justice. Now, I want to go ahead and talk for you just a moment about that lawsuit that Dr. Henderson, who you're going to hear in a moment, did file in 2002. In July of 2002, he did take that lawsuit to the International Court of Justice at The Hague, as it was named at that point in time. That court has now become the Universal World Court, and Dr. Henderson is now the ad hoc judge of that court. The suit was for $875 billion value, which was based on 200,000 acres in Louisiana. That figure came from assets, whether it was natural gas, timber, salt, gravel, oil, that had been stolen off of his family's land over a 100-year time period. Doctor took that lawsuit. It went uncontested for 5 years, so in 2007, it became law. As Judge Anna did state in her article, the suit said that they could not file bankruptcy protection. It is that lawsuit that is now all 198 nations have signed onto that lawsuit. And that also is what he is using to restore all of the global people in the Jubilee that is coming, that is this year. So that's how that comes together. Doctor has a lot of things he wants to go over with you, things that Father Yah has put upon his heart to share with you. So I want to just go ahead and open up the board to Doctor. He is not going to go into Q&A as of right now, so we're just going to open up the board. Go ahead, brother. Well, Doctor will be on in a few moments. As I said, we're not going to go into Q&A.
Okay. The doctor was in traffic whenever she called him to the phone. So he's about to get on in just a second, but I want to let you guys know something. Okay, I'm going to get on one of these calls, one of these weekly calls, right? And ask him a few questions and record that. Okay, I'm going to be asking him important questions, and I want you to follow up with me to see if you know what I mean, to vet my man, because I mean he's been doing this work for 25 years. He is now the ad hoc judge for the World Court. That's a strong position. Okay, so he says things that are iffy, so that lets me know that he is not a prophet. However, his position makes him a king. So if he is delegating authority and ruling in a way that is benefiting the righteous, then this is very important. Okay, so that's why I appreciate his work. So now when I get on these phone calls and quiz him about certain things and question him about certain things, I've done this before, and he kind of, I wouldn't say dodged the questions, but he answered it not to my satisfaction. So when I show you that, I want you guys to weigh in on how he responds to my questions. This is very important to me because I need to hear from you guys about it, because I'm convinced that he's already a king, or I would call it a prince, actually, you know, because he doesn't have control over Israel's fortune. So since he doesn't have control over Israel's fortune, then that would not make him a king yet. So he's a prince waiting in heir to be a joint heir with Hamashiach and the rest of us to allocate the fortune in the proper manner that has been misallocated by the greedy, the greed of the world powers that are currently ruling the earth today. They're all greedy, every one of them. Okay, so I'm just curious about that. So I'm going to be questioning him on that, and I want you guys to weigh in about it in the future. So I wanted to let you know that right now, and we're going to go ahead and continue this. He's about to get on the phone. The doctor is about to get on the phone with Hindu Hindus.
The lawsuit the doctor put in place that has now had a judgment is what he is using.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake and clicked the wrong button and made the program stop. So let me try to get it back to where it was at just a moment ago.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the World Global Network, United Nations mechanisms to create this. So we're just going to restore all of the nations. The nations are coming together.
Okay, so we're pretty close to where
to restore all of the nations.
We're pretty close to where it was at, so I'm gonna just start it right here. I made a mistake and pressed the wrong button, and so I just put it close to where we were at.
The nations are coming together under Father Yah, the YHWH, our Creator. This is not about monetary. This is about restoring the kingdom of Yah and restoring the righteous on this planet. Brother, I see you. I'll go ahead and turn the call over to you. Now, can you hear me? We can hear you, brother. Rise and shine. Now, I'm sort of like mobile right now, so I'm using a mobile.
Okay, I want to let you know that the when they say restoring the righteous, I'm explaining to you throughout this entire series that the only way to rule the entire earth is with resources. There's not an amount of looting and stealing, that reclaiming through a physical battle that we can do to rule the earth. Okay, there's no amount of fighting that can make that happen. So this is why the Heavenly Father is going to restore our inheritance to us, our physical inheritance to us, and then we're going to utilize those treasures to pay laborers to build. Okay, so our laborers are Esau and all the rest of the nations. All right. So I'm just letting you know that.
Yeah. Well, we can hear you. I don't know if you're on your headset or not. What we do best is welcoming everyone that's on the call for the first time. I let me say to them, love, peace, truth, freedom, justice, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, one mind, one heart, one spirit. I also want to say to them that if any of them now want them to become a senior youth of them, reconstruction, but restoration, replenishing this universe. And as I move on through this call this morning, during this great rise and shining time, I want to make sure that I make it perfectly clear that this is the United Nations call. Being that this was the United Nations call, a lot more takes place, a lot more occurs with the United Nations that the United States of America needs to be aware of and needs to understand that the United Nations is not lost to what's going on. They need to know that the United Nations hears the same information that they get, and the United Nations does a quicker, more thorough investigation of all the things that are being said and done. They're not concerned with all the things that the United States of America is concerned with based upon the fact that they're more concerned with the real lives of the human, of mankind on this. And these are the things that we must constantly stay focused on. And as the United Nations know, Dr. Anderson is one who has come by way of the letter. I am the letter. Let me make that perfectly clear again, because it's obvious that my brothers and sisters in the United States does not understand that I am the letters, I am not the number. And as I have told them, I don't do numbers. That doesn't mean I cannot do numbers, but it just means that I stay away from the number system. The number system must be explained once again. The number system has the face of one kid. That one kid, again, his name is KD. That is what I call him. His name, he himself can tell them who he is, because he's been on numerous calls with me before. If they go back in the archives, they will see that. He is known as the universal world administrator, known to them as the one who deals with the number system. He is the world fiduciary agent when it comes down to the number system. That is why you often hear me say that I am not the numbers, because they are that of the numbers. And he does the greatest job. If you ever heard me bragging on him before, he is the greatest when it comes down to the numbers. I will stay out of the numbers, as he and I have an agreement that I will not ever mess with the number system. The reason I'm saying this now is because we have a few of our people that myself and Judge Honor and all of us, we are now making sure that we are bringing our circles down, where our circle has been many. We are now understanding that because we have had to allow Allah to separate the wheat from the chaff. The wheat from the chaff has now been separated, and we are still separating it as we speak. Therefore, we must understand that if anyone right now, and help me out, United Nations, is talking about it.
Okay, I don't know if you heard that, but he said Ya Allah, which is not a real name. Okay, but the character and power and behavior is manifest in the presentation that you're listening to. Also, he said that the wheat and chaff have been separated. Okay, and we are now separating them as we speak. So the reapers are in the harvest, and they are reaping the harvest. Okay, so in order for you to be a wheat, you need to fill out the Sovereign Civil People's Rights, Bathsheba and Esther Trust that I showed you in the beginning of this broadcast. Okay, and then email it to shelleybowling@gmail.com. This is real life stuff that really happens and that will really happen. And, none of this is actually spooky. So then you have the Heavenly Father is the one orchestrating every bit of this. So that is the spooky part that is true. So the Comedics will never understand this and they will completely reject this and they will be among the fuel that is utilized to warm our feet. So don't worry about how they feel about you filling out the Bathsheba and Esther Trust. Don't worry about that at all. Just fill it out.
Any type of trust, antitrust, or any of those things, they come under the number system and they will have to deal with the fiduciary agent of the world at some point in time. I need them to understand because of that, those trusts are not free. Those are not free trusts. The only thing now that's being freely done is the better side of the house, where we're doing nothing more than redeeming all mankind. The redemption of all mankind has already been paid for. It was paid for by myself when I went before the International World Court and the World Court to shut down all systems until we had brought them back up on the line where all mankind will be able to do what he or she wanted to do freely and to be under their own vine fig tree of worship, to also be under their own vine and fig tree of monetary, to also be under their own vine and fig tree of how they were going to be able to take care of their family. This is what the redemption phase is all about. This is what the restoration phase is all about. This is what the prophecy is all about, based upon the year of Jubilee, based upon the 50th year from the 49th year of bringing everything into fruition. After that will happen, the 50th year will pay itself off. This is where we're at right now. So, because of the major things that we have been through in the last few months, those that think that it has something to do with a personal life, those that think it has something to do with a monetary life, they must understand that what has taken place is based upon something that's known as the redemption phase. The redemption phase is what we're all going through at this present moment. That redemption phase will be completed. Once that redemption phase is completed, then all other areas will be also, as we might say, they will be bought quickly to a point where they will be taken care of as well. One of them just so happens to be those areas that everybody now is out there working for, and that is the trust phase. That trust phase will actually come under the monetary system. It will fall under the number system, and that phase must be dealt with the fiduciary agent of the world. The fiduciary agent of the world at that moment in time will bring those families in. He will bring those corporations in. He will bring those businesses in, and he will then sit down with them. And he will tell them the price, because there is a price that must be paid based upon those trusts. And he is the one who wrote the trust law. I need everyone to also understand that as I'm talking to the Universal World Court individuals now, which now we number with all the judges, which now we're beginning to sit down and talk. We're having to either widen our circle, or we're having to bring our circle into a smaller scope. And that's what we're doing now. So as we do these things, we're also notifying all those people that are out there that are actually trying to bring forth some things that must be looked at in the event that all things are happening. All of that, we have to make sure that we keep everybody focused. on what it is that this end result shall be. So those people, again, I say this out there, you have this idea of that you want to build your own trust. That is possible. You can do that. But you would have to go through the fiduciary agent of the world to build those trusts up. Those trusts, you have an amount that must be met before you can bring that up. Again, I say those antitrust laws and all those trust laws that have now been no longer under the 501c3. They're no longer under the 501c3. They will now fall under the 501c4. That 501c4 trust laws have been drawn up and written up by the fiduciary agent of the world. And he will be the one that brings everybody under those trust laws based upon the 501c4 and those trust documents in which people will be getting. So if you're dealing with the U.S. Treasury Department based upon antitrust laws or based upon trust laws, period, you will find yourself having to go back, redo it, come under the 501c4, which will be under the World Fiduciary Agent. I have mentioned him many a times before. He knows who I'm talking about. And yes, he's still listening to the call. He is still paying attention to everything that I am saying. He knows that I am not the number system. He also knows exactly what's taking place now. So those of you that might not even know that he and I, yes, we're still connected because Allah would not allow us to be disconnected. And I need everyone to understand that. So based upon that, the people need to understand that when they talk to Dr. Henderson about the trust, I would not talk to you on trust. That is why I haven't been teaching it. That's why I stay away from it. Because it belongs to the fiduciary world, fiduciary agent. And he alone has written those new trust laws. And he has placed those trust laws in place in the number system based upon the monetary system. So as we move forward now into the new world, we know now exactly how those things will be working. Now, myself, I was on the letter side of it. The letter side consists of the treaties. These are the treaties that have been taken out with all 187 nations. And notice I did say 197 nations. Based upon the fact, just recently, we have had the reading of 198 nations. That 198 nation has not yet been totally constructed. It has not yet been completed. That is the goal in which we're looking forward to. We're looking for this 198 nation to come in and be a nation to be built. We have placed one individual that was supposed to go out and unify all of these nations together. We have now come to a point where we know that possibly that individual cannot get that job done. So we will be moving fast and fiercely and quickly into bringing the 198 nations into a position where they will be, if we might say, totally recognized. Even though we know that I and myself, I do believe that that 198 nation is the nation that has formed all of the other 197 nations. And it was done based upon one man. His name was the Honorable Noble Drew Ali. And he went before the United Nations. He formed himself as a nation, and then he brought all of the other nations under that. We understand that that nation was known to be what now is known as the United States of America. At the same time, we know that now, based upon these 5 divine principles of the universe of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice, this is what we as a people must protect, because we're under those 5 divine principles. And believe it or not, the universal world right now is working under these 5 divine principles based upon what Dr. Henderson has brought forth to them. We have done that based upon being one mind, one heart, and one spirit. We have done that based upon the fact that now the Chinese government, the Russian government, Iraq, Iran, Africa, Any of those governments that you name are based upon a nation. And those nations now are in an agreement to work under the treaty, to work under the charters and treaties, and which was taken to them in the international courts in 2002. In January 2002, the Universal, at that time known as the International World Court, they gave a judgment 14-1, all of the judges to include the judge of the United States of America at the time, sided with the other 14 judges that because of the treaty held supreme title to the world as a whole. And that world as a whole had to fall under those treaties based upon it being law of the land. And they were classified as the supreme law of the land. And that was those treaties. And those were the treaties that were taken to the Universal World Court at that time, the International World Court, by Dr. Henderson. This is what all of the nations, the 197 nations, have signed off on. This is now the Battle of Armageddon, where all those nations have made it their business to come forth to say that they are standing on those treaties, that they're standing on those patents, that they're standing on those deeds. And this is what Dr. Henderson has protected. This is what now is still in his care as the ad hoc Universal World Court judge. Those things will be brought forth at the Universal World Court during the time that all of the other complaints from all the other 197 nations will be brought forth, and their complaints will be heard, their complaints will be brought forth, and their complaints will be totally given a judgment. And this is what they're waiting on. They're not waiting for some monetary system. They're waiting for justice. They're waiting for justice based upon what they have went through and what we would consider to be human trafficking, what we consider and we know it to be as being child molestation, what has been considered to be rape of our feminine force that is out there. All these things are now being done. And as I myself, Dr. Henderson, sat in a conversation with one yesterday based upon a foreign nation, where they're now forced to deal with that foreign nation, and the foreign nation is willing to deal with itself in regards to human trafficking based upon the female force or the feminine force of life. And now we have to deal with these based upon the complaint in which has come through the Universal World Court. And as I said the day before, myself, Dr. Henderson, with all of the other judges, and which now have still sat at the round table to do the proper thing rather than, and excuse me, because I have to put that out there. They're not chasing a dollar. They're not chasing any money. They're trying to sit down in a remote area where we will be able to sit there and deal with the complaints of the true world based upon child trafficking, based upon human trafficking, based upon rape of our nation, based upon all the things in which our families are going through, incarceration that are illegal incarceration, based upon our families being kidnapped and thrown into dungeons. These are the things that now the judges are sitting down and looking into. We know exactly what we must do as a Universal World Court, and that is what we will continually to do. We will not get off into those areas which will not benefit the people as a whole. We are working now to build a nation strong of 198 nations. We have 197 nations. We do believe and we deem that the nation in which we call the United States of America, we do believe that they will come together as a whole, get their minds wrapped around of all of the slavery that have went on. They will get their minds wrapped around all of the human trafficking that has taken place that built this slavery. We do believe that they will come back to realize that there have been child trafficking. They will realize that now there has been hunger all over this planet, that we are going to make sure that we do away and we annihilate this hunger. We believe that they will come back. We're talking about this nation of America. They will come back to reality and realize that there's people that have starved and that have died medically needing these things to accommodate themselves just to be able to live another day, like heart attack and all of these things, cancer, all of those things. Those are the things that now the United Nations, all of the 197 nations are now working together. Homelessness, not based upon money, but just based upon tyranny, tyrants who have decided to put themselves as leader and just as leadership, taking away the rights of the people. This is what's being put back now. This is what the true Universal World Court is working on. And as I myself, Dr. Henderson, has been very silent based upon that because I do what we call check swing. You must check out in regards to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. This is an action, not something that we say. Based upon being one mind, one heart, one spirit. This is a family thing. This is a blood thing. And we must protect ourselves to do just that. Yah Allah has spoken. His words are true. The prophecy is now taking place. As you hear us talk about the different things that are happening on the scene for a shipwreck, as far as you hear us talking about the things that are happening on land for the earthquake, as far as you hear us talking about those things that are happening on land, such as fires, such as tsunami, based upon tsunamis being part of the water system as well. You have to understand that the book has told you 1/3 of the earth will be consumed by water, 1/3 of the earth will be consumed by fire, 1/3 of the earth will be consumed by shaking, and those things that will be considered bombs, heavy equipment. It will also cause these seismic earthquakes to happen. And because of the shaking of the earth, it will cause the entire earth to shake and quake. And at the same time, it will crumble. It will crumble some of it within itself. But this is not the end. For the word has already told us with all of these things, there shall be wars and rumors of wars, but the end will not be yet. These are things that we are being met with now. These are the things that we must go forward with. And even though all the chaos and the confusion are coming too, remember, these things have been spoken of as well. But my Father has said, because he is not the author of confusion, these things will be also met with truth, and they will be destroyed based upon the fact that we must go forward in the name of Yah Allah. This is where I must stay poised, I must stay focused, and I must keep driven with what Yah Allah has sent me here to do. And those things he has called me to give to mankind, I would give them to him, whether it be their destruction or whether it be their way of everlasting life. I must continue what I am doing. This is the facts of life. These are the things in which Yah Allah has called us to do. And as I sit outside in my vehicle now looking at the blue skies, I can tell you that there shall come a day very soon where these clouds will be red. These clouds will be red because my Father will be shedding blood upon this earth based upon his vengeance of those who now still seek to try to destroy his son. This will not happen. It will not happen. I can tell them that as I look in these guys, I will be able to look up and see the sun refuse to shine. I will watch the moon drip down in blood. I will watch all the stars fall from the sky, because I can still tell you that the end will not be yet, because my Father will have the last say, and we will redeem this world. Not only will we redeem it, but we will also be able to put this earth back together for an everlasting life for those who believe in the true name of my Father. This is what we're doing based upon God's ability to give us the true prophecy based upon his actions, not his words. I am his voice. I will bring his words, and he will perform it in action. This is what's taking place now. And all of those that are in opposition, all of those that are in disbelief, I would tell them, turn, come back, seek my Father's face. All you got to do is remember that when you get back, fall down on your knees, pray to him, and he will heal the land. This is what will take place. I need us to focus on those things that are at hand right now. I want to thank you, United Nations, for your deep, if I might say, patience that you have had. You have sit idly by, allowing the United States of America.
Okay, when he speaks of the United Nations, he's talking about the nationalists in each nation on earth. There are 197, 98 nations, with Israel being the 199th nation that he does not mention. Okay, so I'm going to bring that up in the call later this week whenever they get back on the call. And I want you guys to follow up with me to tell me, what I should ask him and things of that nature.
Of America to come to reality of those things in which you have realized. Those things have been coming to you in realization in a little bit more deeper, if I might say, manner, because you have been the ones that have truly suffered wars in your country and in your area. You have been the ones that have truly suffered hunger in your lands and in your nation. Help me out, Africa. You have had those wars. You have had that true hunger in your nation. Help me out, Iraq. You have had that true hunger and those true wars in your nation. I could go on and on and on and on, naming you of those of you. America has not yet truly had a true war in its nation, not in this nation on its nation's soil. They spoke of a civil war, which was not truly a war at all. There was a bunch of disagreeing men based upon trust. God Almighty. They didn't have a true war, even though they had something that they call a grade against the silver. But I would have to tell them it wasn't a true war because it was men based upon, again, something they call trust. We could go on and on. America has not had a true war. They have had many wars based upon something that they call trust. And to this day, they have not yet been able to understand what that trust is all about. But they will by the time my Father, Yah Allah, has his final words of communication with those that have the love of money. They will find themselves being caught up in the root of all evil. That is what my Father is dealing with right now. He will make sure that he completes the process of elimination that will become one of those things in which a lot of us will become saddened based upon the fact. But everyone has the ability, everyone has the opportunity to make he and she's choice. This is the choice that one must make. I tell them choose wisely of what you will choose, because Yah Allah would not allow anyone to choose and then decide not to choose in his final judgment. His final judgment will be quick, it will be swift, and it will be final. He will not take it back. So as I move forward, we're talking to the United Nations. United Nations has come to my attention that we definitely have to deal with human trafficking. For this week alone, I myself have been wrestling with trying to deal with one fight on one hand, but the most important fight to me has been that we call human trafficking. I will stay focused. I give you my word, United Nations, that I will stay focused on those things that are more important for the 197 nations. I will stay focused on those things that are important for the 7.4 billion people on this planet. For you know that I am of my Father, and my Father is of me. My Father and I, we have become one. And I will continually to do those things in which I was called by Yah Allah to do on this planet. I will not worry about my personal being, because it's not about me. It's about the truth of who the true God of the universe is. Yah Allah, YHWH, the one that's known as ALLAH, known as all God. I will stay focused on him. Buddha, which is known as the beautiful God. I must stay focused upon him because I know they are one. And he has sent me to this universe to set the world free. That is what I will do. I will make all mankind be free, not based upon my actions, but based upon the words that would come out of my mouth, which men from all over this planet now are listening to. And they know this is not a call from some man. This is a call from my Father, which is on high. And he is the one that will take the action to make these things become a reality. I must stay focused. I must stay poised. I will stay in the position that I'm in, regardless of the situation, knowing that I have 197 nations standing solely with myself. I know this for a fact, United Nations. I do believe that at some point in time, the 198 nations, the one who started everything out, I know that once it has come back together, it has brought itself to the point where it will go down on its knees and humble itself. I know that that nation, which my fathers and my forefathers, if I might call them that, even though they were earthly dads, that they had formed it, and they found it that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men were created equal, and that they were endowed by the creator of this universe, which was Yah himself, the YHWH. He was the one that brought forth all individuals, that they might have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I do know that when my earthly dad, my granddad, my blood dad, in the past made these statements, they made these statements in regard to the people, the universal nation of people. And when they knew we're here on this planet as mankind to protect and to serve this land. I thank them for what they've done, and I will uphold my family's blood line. I will uphold my family's name to make sure that all these things are done in regard to keeping the people free. Now, as I move forward on this timeline that we're on, knowing that I don't like doing numbers because it does consist of time. And I know that some people get to the point they feel they're running out of time. And there's those that are now lying on their deathbeds that feel the time did not treat them so kindly. But at the same, I would say to them, the time has been kind to them. For any given moment that we are around, that timeline can end. But I do know that they shall be back. I know that they will return at a time when there will be no more pain. There'll be a time when there will be no more sickness. There'll be a time when there will be no more crying. There'll be a time when there will be no more time for war, but only peace. And that time is right around the corner here. And as we all begin to work together in regards to that, bringing on the energy, the positive energy, I know that these things are going to happen quick and swiftly. Now, as I move a little bit further, I can hear you, UK, United Kingdom. It is at the Universal World Court. I do have your documents. I have not given over your documents to any other nation. I have not put your documents in the hands of those that do not have your welfare. I have not placed any of your complaints in any of my judges' hands that will not be able to go forth, conduct themselves in a manner to make sure that you're taken care of. So I've taken your concerns of that, and I can say to you, they're still in safekeeping, and they will remain in safekeeping until you have come before the Universal World Court and had your day. And your day will be a glorious day, because I can tell you that with all the complaints that the UK has sent, I can tell you just now reading them, I can say to you that you have been dealt an unkind hand, but that unkind hand will become friendly. It will become a hand of giving back to you those things in which was taken. I can look at you, your great nation that's called Africa, the motherland. I can look at you and tell you that I still have your complaints in my possession. I have your complaint waiting now, and they will be answered in a manner in which you will be given fair judgment. You will be given true judgment. You will be given honest judgment. And you can assure yourself that for all of the things that you have went through, slavery, things you have went through, hunger, the things you have went through, being misplaced and sent all over the place, it will be taken care of. I can say to you, places like the Caribbean, Haiti, Jamaica, all of these foreign nations are that such, which have been our fathers and our mother nation. A lot of you have lived in the United States of America. A lot of you started out in the United States of America and ended up in places like Jamaica, ended up in places like Haiti. We will still work with you. We will make sure that you get your fair judgment. And we will make sure from the kindness of our heart and from the truthness of what we have been doing as a nation to build you back strong, those things will take place. We will make sure that all of these things are done in regard to making sure that everything that was placed on the books to be the true law of the land will be done in the manner where you will be the victors and not the victim. You will be the victor, not the victim. You will be one that will be able to look back and say, you got justice. We are working very hard with all of the nations. All 197 nations now is working hard together. As we heard from Judge Anna, which is one of the beautiful judges that I've ever been able to speak to before. Her heart is in the right place for the people. We know that her heart is in the total right place for the people. We know that the work is going forth. It is hard. I can tell her that, yes, we will always have your back, Judge Anna. I know, as you told me a few days ago, perhaps maybe a week ago, you and I both are much alike. We must now bring our circle. We had a large circle, but we must bring our circle to a small circle now. And we must work closer together. I take everything that you told me as a great, if I might say that. I know that you was only giving me your own opinion. I know that you was giving me something that one would call a great way of saying, I love you, my brother. And I need you to make sure that you protect yourself. So I'm saying to you, my beloved, I love you, my sister. And not only do you have to protect yourself, but I'm going to protect you as well. You're going to be just fine. I'm saying that in the United Nations call this morning because I know that the other nations are listening and they're standing by. And they are also have given their word that they are going to be there to protect you and to protect this here, which is the call to restaurate and to restore and to rejubilate and to bring on the year, a true jubilee to all of the people on this planet. And because we know that you are a fighter for the people, just as we are fighters for the people, we will make sure that we look out for you and for others. We love you. We want you to know that. And this will be coming from the way of the United Nations. I will make sure myself, Dr. Henderson, as I begin to talk to the world leaders once again, I will bring you and myself where we will be able to talk to them once again on a level of bringing forth the total restoration of this universal planet. This is what we will be doing, beloved. So I say to you, thanks for the kind words. Thank you for putting out the information based upon the 2002 based upon those things that I even done in 2000 and 2001, bring us to where we at now. And even though now we're moving so fast to get these things done, we must work together. So this is what we must do as a people, as mankind. We will be working along with China. China is now preparing itself to bring in a monetary system. I want to say to China, as a nation, we all do see the same. We all do believe that we are all one mind, one heart, one spirit. We understand even those of China that deals with Buddha. We understand that that is nothing more than the beautiful God and who we all are also accustomed to dealing with. So we understand your method of bringing in things. We understand that you also went through a major turmoil or time during your time, based upon having your people also sent all over the nation of the U.S. and they had become slaves working on railroads and those other type of things, even though they were bringing their truthness, their heart, their love, their respect. They were bringing it to a nation to help that nation build itself, and they were not kindly treated. But we know that now that we're all coming back together again as a whole, as one universal nation. We know that we're coming back to work with each other in a manner where we will now be able to allow every man to be able to worship under his own vine and fig tree. We're coming back now to a universal nation where we will be able to uplift fallen humanity rather than to try to place our feet of depression on top of it. We know now, based upon us coming back to being a universal nation, that we will be able to learn to love one another and deal with each other based upon the 5 divine principles of the universe of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We know that now, because we're coming back to being this universal family, that we will be able to now live under this one drop of blood that we know it to be, of Davah, in which we now live under 3 beautiful statements that we can make, and that is one mind, one heart, and one spirit. We know now that we will work together to not only just build a monetary system, but we will build a system of harmony. We will build a system that will go out and bring mankind together as a whole rather than to separate. As we go forward, we know that we will be building dual citizenships where we will be able to travel freely and go before one another in harmony, based upon being able to travel now so fast and so quickly. We will be able to get to each other's cities and states within hours, which used to take days and months. And sometime it would take even months by water. Now we know that we can travel by air and get there in a few hours. We're so glad to say to one another that we must bring all these things to a willing people. We must bring all these things to a loving people. We must bring all these things to all mankind on this planet that is due his love, due respect, due joy, due respect. We will make sure that all these things that are due to him, that he receives it. So I thank you again, United Nations. I do not want to go that much further today, for you have given your word that we will continuously to work together. I am going to put myself now in a position to leave early today based upon the fact of getting down to working with the people and making sure that all the people are taken care of. I will put myself back into the business of total work with the nations for the rest of the day, that these nations will be able to go forth and take care of those things they need to take care of for sitting down at the table of peace with those that now are conducting war. And I will sit down in a manner where I will be able to discuss these matters rather than worrying about some personal lifestyle that I may want myself. I will sit down with the nations to make sure that we bring about peace for the universe. I will make sure that we sit down and deal with human trafficking. I will sit down and make sure that we deal with these people and that once roamed the Vatican City. These people that once roamed this place that they call the Roman Empire. We would deal with them in regards to the things in which they have used against the people to destroy the people. And we together, sitting down today, we will assure ourselves that by the time that we're completed, we will have built 198 nations strong that will be under the same divine five principles of the universe of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We will assure ourselves by the time I'm finished that we are now one mind, one heart, and one spirit in regards to doing the thing that is going to move forward this universal world. I say to you as I prepare myself to go now, I say to you, I must go, but I say to you, get you some rest. Take a break. I am still at work. It is still a day. And it has been said that man must work while still day, for when night cometh, no man can work it. It is day for me. Now I must get the work done. As I go, I said, I know that you're not of this world, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm still not of this world myself. I need nothing not from this world. I need you to understand that I will stay here as long as my Father has placed me here to protect you from the evil one. So as I go, I prepare myself to tell you to get you some rest and nightfall. Shelley, it is back in your hands, my beloved, to close us out for the day. Love, peace, truth, freedom, and justice. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. One mind, one heart, one spirit. Peace and love.
Thank you, brother. Peace and love. Thank you, family, for being with us today. We will again rejoin you on Friday morning at the same time. In the meantime, stay focused. Be aware of what's going on around you. Know that Father Yah's will is being completed on this planet. And as Brother said a few moments ago, very shortly, it is going to be beautiful on this planet. So as we join together in one heart, one mind, and one spirit, I leave you with John 17:14 through 17. I have given them your word, and the world has hated them, because they are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. I do not pray that you should take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil one. They are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. Sanctify them by your truth. Your word is truth. Until Friday morning, everyone, have an awesome rest of your day and nightfall.
Okay, so I won't be adding to that. I just hope you enjoyed that realization, because that is what is really happening behind the scenes. Have you ever seen a movie? In a movie, what you see in the presentation of the movie on the screen is supported by what happens behind the scenes. You have the preparation of the actors, you have the writing of the script, you have the selling of the script, you have the raising of the funds of the production, you have the producer. The producer needs to prepare everything. You have the lighting, the cameraman, the wardrobe. So all this behind the scenes situations is what you just heard for the presentation that the zombies will witness due to the brainwashing and hypnotism and mind sleeping of the comedic community that is called the unconscious community. They're going to keep everyone asleep and reject everything they just heard if any one of them hear this. This is full reality. This is what is going to happen. And also, we need you to be a part of this, to usher in what they're usher in the efforts that they are currently doing with all their power and network. So with that, I want to say all praises to the Heavenly Father, Haya Asher Haya, the wonderful Son, Emmanuel the Mashiach of Nazareth, and the Comforter, Menachem. Today, before sunset, we honored the woman that anointed Hamashiach's feet and then washed his feet with her hair. You can't wash feet with a bald head. So this is her memorial forever. It is to remind us of how Black women should be humble and respect the Black God. Okay. Tomorrow, during the day, is communion. So if you have sinned and you are in sin, do not take communion. Okay. This is what makes you unhealthy. Taking communion improperly or missing communion. These things contribute to unhealthiness. All health, all life comes from one source, and that is the Heavenly Father. So you can make yourself unhealthy by disobeying His instructions to us on how to preserve our lives, preserve the lives of others, and live this life happily with fun and abundance of life. All right? So with that, I say shalom.